I'm Lo.
And I'm Zoe, and this is
The Lo and Zoe Show. We're coaches and entrepreneurs who firmly believe that an abundant mind is the key to an abundant life.
On this podcast, we're going to be talking everything from how to manifest more money, travel, success in business, and beyond,
to overcoming the blocks that are holding you back,
to rewiring your brain so you can easily attract whatever it is you want the most in life.
If you haven't already, be sure to join us inside our Facebook community, the Queen Mind Tribe, for daily tips, mindset hacks, manifesting tricks, and more that'll allow you to build the confidence you need
to manifest the abundant AF life you deserve.
Now let's get started. Hello everyone, welcome to episode number 1 of
The Lo and Zoe Show.
We are so excited to be here today. This is the beginning of something that we've been working on for a while. And in case you guys don't know who we are, Zoe, do you want to introduce yourself a little bit first?
So my name is Zoe Ariel Polson. I am a life coach, YouTuber, and published author, and I'm currently living in Toronto, Ontario. I am 27 years old, and I've created a life that I absolutely love through living consciously and stepping into my power.
Yeah, and my name's Lauren Saunders. I am a business coach and a longtime friend of Zoe's, and we just equally are obsessed with understanding how to manifest our dream lives and sharing that information with other people. So about 3-4 months ago now, we started talking about doing something together, and that progressed into our Facebook group. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, the Facebook group is called the Queen Mind Tribe. So we wanted to create an abundant community full of queens and kings. You're welcome to join too, and just really encourage people to step into their power and become their greatest versions and live their best lives. Lauren and I were having dinner, and we were just like so sick of how so many people around us weren't recognizing, this includes ourselves, we're not recognizing how powerful we actually were and are. And we wanted to create this community where it was just okay for everyone to be themselves and to step into what they were truly desiring.
Yeah, and for me, and I know for both of us, but I really started to realize how in all the world of manifestation, and there's so much information out there, what's really missing for people, and the reason it doesn't work so much at the time, is that we have too much doubt in the way, because on like an identity level, we're just not confident in ourselves and our ability to produce the results that we want. And manifesting is all about what you believe. So our idea for not just this podcast, but for the group, and we also have a coaching program together called the Queen Confidence Academy. The idea for that all came through understanding how important it is to really change from an identity level into someone who really believes in him or herself and what you are capable of. Because the more you believe, the less doubt you have, the more you're able to actually manifest. So that was really what the Queen Mind was all about. And we started doing the Lo and Zoe Show inside our Facebook group, and we just loved it. We got so much positive feedback, and we decided to do a podcast.
Yeah, we are so ready to bring this to you guys today.
Yeah, and we want to be giving you guys, we talk basically everything: mindset, law of attraction, overcoming your blocks, identifying your limiting beliefs, but also how to reprogram your mind for that confidence so that you're able to manifest whatever it is that you want. Whether you guys are entrepreneurs or, you're just looking for your dream life, your dream job, your dream person, whatever, we want to help you to become the person who is capable of attracting those things quite effortlessly, right?
Yes, because when you're in that state of being, you become the magnet to everything that you desire and want in life, because you truly feel whole and complete.
Exactly. And that's really, again, what the Queen Mind is all about. That state of being, like Zoe said. Do you want to describe that actually? You have a great way of describing the state of being.
Yeah, the state of being is just really, truly honoring who you are down to the core. And this means being fearless when it comes to facing your own blocks and rewiring your brain to support you better, to be your own best friend, and to be the one person who's going to carry you through this life and get you everything that you want. So being is effortless. When you're in a state of being your truest self, everything you want just comes to you. It's effortless. And you can identify times in your life, I'm sure right now listening to this podcast, when you access the state of being, when you are feeling bliss, or when you're doing what you're passionate about, when time just kind of seems to fall away. And if you could access that energy, but more so just make it become a part of you about who you really are every single day, it will be inevitable for you to attract everything that you're desiring.
Yeah, and really tapping into that like queen or king state of being is about being very sold on yourself. And this is something that, we talk so much about building confidence because it's something that you can program into your mind. You can literally become someone new, and that's really what we are all about. And we know that when people start to feel differently about themselves and become that whole version of themselves that Zoe is describing, that's when things really start to flow to them and they can say, I want this and I'm going to go and get it, right? Rather than I want this, but I don't know if I'm worthy or I don't know if I'm capable or I'm not good enough or whatever. It's like eradicating that way of thinking about yourself to, as much as possible so that you can then go and get whatever the heck you want. So,
exactly.
What are we talking about today, Zoe?
Today we're talking about how to get whatever it is you want in your life. And we're talking about changing your mind to change your life because first we have to change the inside to get the results on the outside.
Yes.
We have to change our state of mind and as I spoke about, just have that state of being to be able to see the physical results manifest in your outer world.
Yes, absolutely. And one of the things that really inspired this, this message coming from us was realizing how capable we are of changing our habitual patterns of thinking and how it's actually quite simple once you understand the process of doing so. Okay.
We want this to become easy for you guys. We want you to listen to this podcast and just take our tips and tricks and put them into your own life and you will see things manifest. And there is science behind this, which Laura is going to explain to you guys because she does an excellent job at it.
Yeah. And so, this kind of goes back to, we were having dinner. I think what ended up happening was you had just launched your coaching business.
Yes.
And I was asking, why should I work with you as a coach? And immediately there was all this resistance for you, right? I love asking people this question of sell me on yourself.
Yes.
And it's not that I'm necessarily that great at asking or at answering it, or at least I wasn't at the time. And it kind of progressed into this conversation of we have to get so sold on ourselves where we know why someone would want to hire us or why we deserve what we're asking for in order to actually then call it forth. And so do you want to talk about how we decided on the mindset work that we were going to start doing? And then we're both going to tell sort of our stories of what has happened once we got very intentional about building our confidence from the inside out.
Yeah, so definitely. So as Laura said, I just launched my first coaching program and this was new for me. I'd been coaching for a little while, but I hadn't stepped into a program and I'm currently in the process of getting fully certified. And so I was exercising this confidence, but I didn't realize how much resistance I had on selling myself as a coach. And of course I could see this come up when I was mentioning it on social media, whether that be through my YouTube channel or on Instagram stories when I was launching it. I was excited, but I didn't exactly know how to communicate the message of what I wanted to do for other people. And that's where you caught me in that question.
Right.
Where all of a sudden I was flooded with resistance and I didn't know what to say next. I was just really stuck.
Yeah, you just sort of froze up. And
Yeah.
this is the response that I get all the time. I always put people on the spot with this question of why are you worth the money? Why should I hire you? Because I know that the people who are doing very well for themselves in their lives and their businesses, it's easy for them to answer that question. And this is kind of where the Dr. Joe Dispenza, we talk all the time about Dr. Joe Dispenza, we're equally as obsessed with him, but where his methodology comes in, which is really about tuning into a new state of being, and by that we mean a new way of thinking and making it a habit to the point where it becomes so practiced that it's easy for you to be this is what I bring to the table. This is why you should hire me. This is why I deserve to have blah, 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 whatever it is that you want. But until we practice that, and this is sort of the science behind, just our whole methodology in terms of helping people to start thinking differently about themselves habitually, where you practice it for a while and it brings up resistance. The only reason that it brought up resistance for you when I asked you that question was because you were more in the habit of thinking about why you were in far enough along yet in your coaching business.
Yes,
right?
And I was thinking more about you in that question than myself. I wanted to provide the right answer to serve other people always, rather than having that confidence within me as damn right, you should hire me because I'm going to change your life.
Exactly. So I'm so glad that you said that because that's the queen mind, right? I'm going to change your life. Yeah. I'm worth every freaking penny. And to be honest, at the time, I was really struggling with this as well. I remember that night actually asking you, there's sort of this one area of my business that I feel quite confident in. Should I just focus on that because it's the only place I seem to be able to really produce results? And so I was in a very similar space as you were. But yeah, so it's going from that that place, and this is something that you can train into your brain, literally program into your brain, going from that place of like, I don't know why someone should hire me, or if I had said like, Zoe, why don't you have all the clients? You would have been like, oh, well, let me tell you.
Yeah.
And actually, I remember what you're saying about like answering it so that it was about me. What she means by that was like, I remember asking you and you're like, well, coaching really changes people's lives. And like, and I was like, I know that.
Yes.
Why are you the coach to change my life though? Right. And so going from that place of being more practiced in all the reasons why not, why you didn't have the clients or why people weren't hiring you, to being like, yep, damn right, I'm worth every penny. You're welcome.
Yes.
That sounds like we're exaggerating a little bit, but it's like you want to come at anything that you're doing. If it's a job that you're applying for, it's a relationship that you want to get yourself to the point where it is just natural for you to be like, I have so much to offer. Like this is just a no-brainer for people to choose me, right?
Yeah.
And that's something that I see. I have never seen a successful business owner or a successful person in any regard who doesn't think and feel that way about themselves, or who isn't just like very clear on what their strengths are. So this is where we have really gone to work ourselves on changing that inner narrative. And do you want to talk a little bit about what that looked like for us and what it still looks like to this day in terms of the mindset work that we committed to that night?
Yeah, definitely. So that night, I had committed to changing two things in my life. And that was becoming more confident as a coach, really truly stepping into that, because it is what I desire to do full time and have it provide that type of income and that lifestyle for me. And then also stepping into confidence in dating. Back in Toronto, I had started going out on dates and I just didn't exactly know what I was doing. And that feeling came from just not being confident in that, because it'd been kind of foreign for me for a little while.
I feel like you were questioning yourself a lot.
Yes, I was questioning.
Dating.
Yeah, and it's about questioning your worth, right? Like I was questioning my worth as a coach in that moment when Laura asked me, and I was questioning my worth when it came to dating. I didn't feel that confidence that I truly desired.
Yeah, and then what that leads to is like you get triggered because some person doesn't text you back or whatever, and then you start spiraling into like, well, he doesn't like me, or he doesn't think I'm attractive, or all these stories, right?
Yes.
So without that foundation of confidence in these specific areas, that's what ends up happening, and it's just like this downward spiral into like, I'm never going to be successful in my business, and no one wants to, like, on and on and on.
And
right?
the queen mind goes into these places, whether it is going on a date or going into a business meeting or like a discovery coaching session. The queen goes in knowing that her success is inevitable, and you are damn lucky to be sitting here with me
Exactly.
or damn lucky to be talking to me, because I'm the type of person who changes other people's lives.
Yes. And so what it looked like for us to both get to that point. We're going to talk about like what has kind of manifested for both of us since we've started doing this work, which was about 4 months ago now, was we committed to every day acknowledging ourselves for 3 things a day. Sometimes it's more. But yeah, every single day we send each other voice clips where we're saying, I acknowledge myself for this and I acknowledge myself for this. And in the beginning, this can be quite uncomfortable because it's just a muscle you haven't practiced.
Yes.
Right? It's like going to the gym for the first time.
And you'll feel the resistance, but
Exactly.
know that where the resistance is where you need to go.
Exactly. And this is where like Dr. Joe comes in and what he calls neuroplasticity, which is essentially the brain's ability to mold itself or to fire and wire neurological pathways that are a reflection of whatever it is that you're repeatedly thinking. So the subconscious mind is programmed through repetition, and that's why we have such habitual patterns of thought about ourselves, about not being pretty enough, not being good enough, not being worthy, whatever it is. It's just that we've literally shaped our brain, literally hardwired our brain to reflect those ways of thinking about ourselves. And it's easy for you to think that way about yourself because it's like a well-developed muscle. But you can start to focus your energy on these new thoughts, these new ways of thinking about yourself. And that's where the daily acknowledgements have come in for us. There's some other things that we do as well, but it's about creating those new pathways in your brain. And this is like, you can actually look up videos on YouTube of this change happening in your brain. And what happens when you start to focus your attention on those new thoughts that you're wanting to strengthen is that the old ones lose their grasp, lose their strength. So you can't have a way of thinking about yourself that is, I'm an amazing coach and people are lucky to work with with me and have why would anyone want to work with me? I don't know what the hell I'm doing at the same time. Like there's only room in your brain for one of them. And the more you develop the thoughts that are aligned with where you want to go in your life, the less developed the old ways of thinking.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
And exactly what Laura said. One cannot exist when the other one takes its place.
Right.
Okay, so once you step into that confidence, your brain actually becomes addicted to thinking these good thoughts about yourself, because not only does it feel good, but of course then it releases all of those chemicals in your brain that's like, yes, I am powerful, I am confident, this is my space, this is me, and it aligns with your truest desires, it aligns with your heart and your soul, and that's why it truly works.
Yes.
But like we said, follow the resistance. Like if that question that Laura asked me when we were sitting there at dinner, ask yourself that right now. Where's your resistance at when it comes to having that answer?
Yeah. And looking at like what are the stories in that area of your life, because whatever the story is what you are manifesting for yourself. And I think the important thing about this is like, we both have got to the point in doing this work every day where we feel quite sold on ourselves as coaches and what we know we're able to help people produce in their lives. And that queen mind, the reason that, or that like badass way of thinking about yourself, the reason it is so powerful is that when you think that way about yourself, there's a lot less doubt in your mind, right? You think, I'm going to go and manifest 2 new clients for myself. And because you've up-leveled your identity in that area, you're not filled with like, well, I want 2 clients, but I'm not good enough, or what if people don't want to pay my prices or whatever. The queen mind, when you get yourself to the point where it's easy for you, like that's more practiced and that's more programmed for you, you're going, I want 2 clients and I'm going to freaking get them because I'm amazing at what I do, right? There might be a couple like shadow doubts there in the background, but they're not like the dominant vibration that you're putting out there. So you literally create this state of being where you believe more and doubt less in yourself, and you're able to manifest in that state of being way, way easier.
And it's not just like, as Laura said, we step into this new confidence as coaches. It doesn't just manifest then as clients. It manifests in so many other places of our lives. It manifests in financial abundance, magical money, all sorts of different experiences, manifesting this incredible friend group that we have now. And it just shows up in so many beautiful ways because, as Laura said, there's no room for doubt anymore. So the universe just delivers on everything you truly deserve.
Yes. Yeah, totally. And it's also like this amazing thing that happens where you stop accepting things that don't serve you in your life anymore, right? Because you're just like, hi, I'm awesome and I deserve everything that I want. And these things are not aligned with that anymore. And like, as cocky as this may sound, it's really not coming from that place. It's coming from a place of like pure worthiness and understanding that you are the queen in your own life and you deserve to have everything that you want. And we want you to think thoughts of like, I am freaking amazing and everyone who gets any of my time is so lucky. And it's not to say that you're not like, this goes hand in hand with also being very, very grateful for all the good that you have in your life, but realizing you do deserve it. And we want you guys to think about yourselves in that capacity of just like, I bring so much value to everything that I do, to everyone that I meet. And I'm deserving of whatever it is that I want.
Yes. And to feel this way, you have to practice it. You have to practice it every single day.
Exactly.
And when Laura and I do our personal acknowledgements, we also take the time to acknowledge each other first. And this has been truly transformative for me personally, I can say, because Laura recognized so many traits or things that existed within me that I just was not aware of because I was not stepping into my worthiness or just believing in myself.
Yeah, I think this is so interesting because when I asked you that question, I'm like, why should I hire you as a coach? And you were like, well, coaching really helps people and whatever. And I was like, Zoe, like, first of all, let's make it about you. Second of all, like, you're a published author. You have a huge audience online. You've manifested the ability to work from anywhere in the world. You've manifested all kinds of travel, all this opportunity. Like, you are a freaking badass. And like, of course people need to pay to work with you as a coach. Like, you bring so much, like, it was so clear to me.
But it was unclear to me.
Right, exactly. And that's the really interesting thing is from the outside looking in at someone, we're able to just be like, oh my God, she's so amazing. Like, she's going to kill this coaching business thing. But if you're not clear on that for yourself, it's not going to make a difference, right? So you have to get into the habit of being like, I've done this and I've done this and I have this quality and I really care about people and I bring so much passion to what I'm doing and like everything and anything. It really doesn't matter what you're acknowledging yourself for. It's just about looking for things that really make you, the human that you are and being like, yeah, I'm awesome.
Yeah, exactly. So it's really powerful to do this with someone else too. Yes. And with that being said, Laura, from the past few months that we've been doing this and transforming our lives so rapidly, what has conspired for you?
Yeah, so we're going to both talk about our stories through doing this mindset work and how it inspired our group and our coaching program. And in the coaching program, I mean, like, women in that program just totally like killed it in 4 weeks, left jobs and got new jobs and started businesses. So I just love that not only has it been so successful for us, and we're going to share that with you guys right now, but also we've watched it change the lives of people who we've shared it with. So for me, when we met that night, I was still struggling, and I had just gotten back from Italy. Like, I had, in terms of the way my Instagram feed looked, I'd really like made it as a coach, where I was having just regular successful months in my business. It was, up and down, but I was able to sustain myself quite comfortably. I was looking for a new apartment in Toronto, but I was still so stuck in, I mean, at the time I was actually having a really hard time attracting any one-on-one clients, and it had been like that for quite a while. And I only had certain areas of my business where I felt confident, and all these other things, all these other programmed ways of thinking about why I was not good enough yet as a coach. Like, I needed to be making more money consistently, even though I was doing quite well, but it was still not good enough in my head. Like, you weren't the only friend I was talking to about like why where I was at wasn't good enough. I was actually in a lot of just like inner, I don't know, sort of turmoil, I guess, about just being unsatisfied with where I was. And I don't know, it was just, I was so exhausted at that point of like trying so hard and just never feeling like where I was at was stable or good enough or whatever. But I had plans to move back to Toronto, and I actually thought that it was going to be necessary for me to go back to my previous business, which I had retired in order to be able to travel. And I was a lash technician, and that kind of grew into my coaching business. But I really thought, like, I retired that business and I was so excited about it. And I thought that I was going to have to go back to it because I just didn't feel that I was going to be making enough money to live in Toronto as a coach. I don't know. I just didn't have satisfaction, really.
Yeah.
So that was where I was personally. And when we started doing this mindset work, honestly, it was like 6 weeks to get me to the point where I just felt so, like, I was so used to at that point recognizing how much like unique experience and insight I brought as a coach, and started really recognizing the difference that I made for people. I mean, I've had people in my programs who are able to leave their jobs and be more at home with their children, and they're just like so happy, and like I wasn't recognizing any of that. And so it started to all become this source of real confidence for me, where I just started feeling really good about myself in a variety of areas, and it was like this thing that we hoped was going to work for us in terms of making us feel more confident totally did. And I just started walking differently. I had friends saying, like, you just seem so different. I really noticed a difference in you. Ended up just manifesting my dream apartment that I never in a million years would have thought I was like worthy of beforehand. Things just happened so quickly, actually.
Yes.
Inside like 6 to 8 weeks of us starting this, like, I just had a completely different life. I never had to end up going back to my old business. And now I'm just like in Toronto. I freaking love what I'm doing. I have my first team member. I just feel so fulfilled. And it's not that I don't continue to have bigger goals for myself, for sure, but it's like I get to just be happy every day.
Yes.
And that was something I didn't have. Even when I was traveling Italy and I was making decent money, I was still unsatisfied on a day-to-day basis. Like, dissatisfaction is such a crappy place to be, especially when you've worked so hard to get to where you are. So I think that was the biggest difference, was like, yes, things manifested for me and have continued to, but more importantly, I'm just satisfied every single day. Even just this morning, we were walking around and I was just like, I just love that, like, it's Monday and this is what we're doing. We're like walking around, we're going to coffee shops, we're recording our podcast episode, and I find so much satisfaction in all of it. And that was a change that I had to make internally. And from that place, more and more abundance just keeps showing up in my life. So yeah, it feels like a different life.
Yeah, you turned your mind into an abundant mind, and thus you have attracted the abundant life.
Exactly. Yeah, there you go. What about you, Zoe? Because I know a couple of things have changed. Well, a few big things have changed for you since we started this work together.
Yeah, a few big things. Well, just to follow up on what we just previously spoke about is my confidence in coaching and launching programs and having that manifest. That has been incredible for me because, as Laura said when she was sitting there kind of acknowledging me for being a published author and having moved back from Italy, all these things, I'm very much someone who lives in the future. I'm always trying to project what's going to happen or manifest, and I don't actually take the time to acknowledge everything that I've done and how far I've come, and especially moving back to Toronto. So this was in May when we had met for dinner, and I had been in my apartment for just like a week, maybe something like that. So I was just getting my 2 feet back on the ground again. I felt super vulnerable. I had some friends who had set me up on a couple dates with people who I had like never met before. So I'd had to go into these dates, and I was just kind of talking about myself, but not, I noticed that while I was on these dates, it just kind of felt like I didn't really know how to talk about myself. I didn't know what to say about me besides what I was doing. Not really like the type of person who I am. And that's when I just kind of realized, okay, dating confidence and also business confidence. So the acknowledgements that I worked on is, of course, worthiness. Also, just the value that I provide to other people, because in both of these spaces, that's what I needed to acknowledge within myself, that I have gifts that do affect the lives of others and can in a very positive way. So in coaching, I would then begin to acknowledge myself for being able to provide transformations, being intuitive, bringing that to the table, sharing my energy, and just being very empowering for other people to be around, asking them very powerful questions that allow them to come to their conclusions and recognize their own power. And then when it came to dating, it was more so just recognizing the gift that I truly am, and then the value that I provide, you know, sitting across from someone or going bowling or whatever it may be. I just truly stepped into that. And that was something that was very transformative for me personally, because it's been so long since I was in a long-term relationship. I dated here and there, but I did have a lot of stories and a lot of blocks around that, and actively working on my own worthiness has just diminished those blocks and allowed me to see the stories and pull them out and just let them go. But more so, what I've noticed then is, as I've built up my worthiness as a person and the value that I can provide in the dating scenario, is that I'm unattached about the outcome. I have almost become an observer to this, as like whoever I'm seeing or dating, I can be so present in the moment, and it's so powerful because in that way I am in that state of being now. I'm in that confident state of being that I've worked towards being. And then after, you know, the date is over or the situation is done, I don't hold any attachments, because I know that my true worth is what matters to me most. Yeah. And I go to sleep at night knowing that I'm really happy about the person that I am, because not for one moment did I put on a mask. I was just me. And I think that in itself has just been such a gift and does allow the detachment, because attachment is like having doubts, like you're trying to cling to something to support the stories, to support the lack, when really if you just realize in yourself that you are truly so abundant and you have so much to offer, if somebody is non-compliant with that, that's okay.
Yeah.
Because you know that you have yourself and you have built yourself up, and no matter what, you will continue to do that.
Yeah, and you just like don't get attached to like individual people, because you're like, fine, not if it's not you.
Yeah, then I know else. He's around the corner,
exactly.
Really, because the more and more that you work on yourself, you become whole and complete, and of course you're going to attract whole and complete.
Yes, absolutely. I think like, you know, us sharing our stories in terms of what has transpired for us, it's really all come back to this understanding of like changing our identity through the daily mindset work that we do. And the crazy thing is like, it's not a lot of mindset work, you know, It's like 5-10 minutes a day can just completely change your life in a matter of weeks. And it's almost like it's so simple that people just don't do it. But we just recognized that for ourselves and for other women and men, of course, everyone who is trying to manifest, they're trying to manifest from a place of lack, right? Yes. And they're trying to manifest from a place of having doubts and not being sold on themselves and not being whole and complete without the manifestation, right? Like they need it. And the more that we try to manifest from lack or from need, the more frustrating it is, because it just doesn't really work very well. It's not consistent at all. So, just through this podcast, we're going to be giving you guys just tools and tips and things that have really worked for us in terms of really shifting, you know, your foundation of confidence and belief in yourself. And what happens as a result is that you become really good at manifesting and you just get to be happy. I mean, that's the thing that we really want for you guys, is just to be happy, be confident, be content with where you're at. And from that place, you get to easily manifest whatever it is that you want.
Exactly. You become the magnet, and you guys, it just requires like 5 to 10 minutes per day. You go to the gym and you make meals for yourself. You go hang out with friends. Just take this time, okay? Yeah. Go to the gym of your brain. Go to the gym of your mind, because this is where it begins.
Yes.
If you feel whole, worthy, and complete inside, it's inevitable that success is going to just appear in amazing, magical ways all around you.
Yeah, there's a Tasha Silver quote, who's an author I really love, about becoming abundance instead of chasing it.
Yes.
And that's really what this is about, is you're
Yes.
filling yourself up and you're becoming someone who's just like really, you know, like really in love with yourself and are just so sure about how much you have to offer. And from that place, life just becomes abundant and you attract more and more of that every day. And you're just able to like appreciate like the tree outside your window and like the sun on a Tuesday afternoon. It sounds so corny, but like that literally is the most abundant experience you can have.
Yes, you just flow through life.
Yeah, exactly.
And what is meant for you cannot miss you.
Yeah.
Especially when you are the magnet.
Exactly.
There's no doubt.
Yeah. So, I think that's all we wanted to say in regards to changing your mind in order to change your life. And really the missing piece is just this repetition and you altering the way that you think and feel about yourself on an identity level and how simple it really is. And that's what we hope to share with you guys through our podcast.
Yeah. And if you guys have not joined the Queen Mind Tribe on Facebook, Kings, you're totally welcome to. Yeah. And there's just more of all of this beautiful content that we love to share with you.
And just really a supportive community as well of people that are just like uplifting one another. It's, so awesome. One, thank you guys so much for joining us, and we'll see you next episode.
Yeah, see you later.
Thank you guys so much for spending a piece of your day with us and tuning into the Lo and Zo Show.
If you enjoyed this episode, please take the time to rate it and share on social media. Be sure to tag us.
Until next time,
stay abundant.